My name is Jerry Katigbak. My full name is Guillermo Katigbak, but in Benil they call me Jerry K or Sir Jerry. I'm in the business for 25 years now. I'm a fashion consultant, a photographer, a teacher, a stylist, and mentor to some others. I got interested in fashion when I was very, very young that time. I didn't know that drawing or sketching, I thought it was just a hobby of mine, fantasy, not knowing that it's going to be a reality in my life. Now I'm a fashion designer. Before I was not really in the line in fashion. I took up actually fine arts advertising in UST. And then I thought all the time I'm just going to be an artist. Yes, I become an artist, but in fashion. I worked with Rustan for 3 years as a fashion consultant. And from there, I started to move on until I become a designer until now, for 25 years. Fashion for me is putting flavor and flair to the person who loves lifestyle. My creative moment actually when I get inspired when I see new fashion magazines. That's number one. Second is when I go abroad because I see fashion in the street. And at the same time also I follow exactly what they're wearing. I try to cover up and try to see if I can be or blend with them. At the same time also I love nature. I go to beaches, I go to the mountains, definitely with music in it, and I get so much inspired from it to the point that inspiration and ideas just keep on coming. My design sensibility actually, or we would say my signature, is mostly a fusion of Asian countries, costumes. I'm very inclined to the colors because normally colors do have a lot of meanings. At the same time, I like the form, the silhouette, the details of their costume, and then I comprehend, and then at the same time, I try to pick it up and then mix it actually what is now. So sometimes they call me also the bad boy of fashion. It's because I don't follow exactly what is the latest trend. I follow exactly what my conscience tells me. That makes something different in terms of fashion, and at the same time also, you know, being a designer, you have to put a certain depth for you to know, to be recognized of what type of designer you are. At the same time, what type of clothes you make. I always make it sure that everything, all the process to create a certain clothes, I have to really put my heart and soul in it because that's passion for fashion. At the same time also, you really, well, you will say that, how do I create my collection? No, there's a lot, I'm a type of a person, you know, who does not actually follow a certain format on how you create, on how I do it. Sometimes nauuna yung idea, sometimes it's the material, sometimes it's also a certain person that I meet, that I get inspired, and then at the same time also maybe from the magazine, but definitely I only get inspiration from the magazine, but I don't copy because that is really a no-no for me. It's like stealing from a certain design from a certain fashion designer. I'm with Benil now for almost 9 years now, and every minute of it, I love what I'm teaching. I'm starting to love actually my students because I can see also how creative they are, you know, from day one all the way until they graduate. I could see that they have a lot of potentials, and I'm also very happy that some of our students are now well-known designers. And it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling for us because we have contributed something, not only for the society, but also, who knows, maybe in the future, Philippines will be one of the capital city in fashion. We are actually in the third world, and it is very important that just because we're on this side, it doesn't mean that we're always under, that we cannot improve, we cannot actually raise our own ideas, because I always believe, especially in the Philippines, Filipinos are very creative. We are actually being almost raised, giving our way of challenges, so many challenges, like anything that we don't have it here, we create. During our times, actually, there's only one school in fashion, vocational. And the mentality during our time is like, we don't want to be involved with that school because we always think we're not going to be mananahe, no? We like to become designers. So what happened is like we try to avoid it, and we just try to learn from a person who really knows something about clothes or in fashion, who knows how to design. So we try to check out and we try to learn from them, or sometimes a private cutter who will give us a tip on how to do pattern. That was before. Now, it's a different way around. These people or students or the young kids who like to become designers have the biggest opportunity to learn more about fashion. In Benil, we have we have the merchandising and all these things, the cutting, the illustration, so forth and so on. And they have to learn this before they really graduate. And we're very happy actually, because this time, if you notice actually, Filipinos during that time, we only like to learn, or we like to have a shop that caters only for custom made. Simply because we'll only learn so much about how an RTW really runs. But if really you're going to compare it, the RTW has more bigger way in terms of financial side rather than the custom made. Yes, we can charge bigger price actually for one clothes, but if we're talking about the volume, that's nothing. That's what we're learning now, and I always want to challenge our students to go more on the RTW because there's money in it, and at the same time also do not be conscious actually that you are not going to be famous, because I think there's it's an old scenario that to become a good designer is you have to be known, your name. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be the technique, the way you deal with fashion, the way you deal in business. That's the one that really going to make you really a very good designer. And I always believe, especially in Benil, I noticed that there are some parents who already have their own shops, and they are now the second generation. And I will strongly going to believe that this is going to be 2 times better, or even 3 to 4 times better, because they have planned in terms of education, in terms of fashion, and I will always believe that this new generation has more good and appropriate input of what they're going to know, and they can apply it in the future. Most of these young kids now who are involved in fashion, especially now that we train students to become good designers, because during our time, we don't have this. You know, we just get inspired, and then we just actually ask somebody to help us how to be creative. You know, now that we have Benil, it is bright time that proper education in terms of fashion are implemented, and I always believe that if this is going to push through, I believe that the city of Manila will be the next fashion.
Sign of devotion from years before. Say, I have a chance.